Hello there.
Good morning.
It's another version of something to talk about.
And I've relocated to a different room in my house.
I did too. I stepped outside. I'm standing in front of this house down the street.
In front of a haunted mansion.
Ooh,
It looks like
because there's something coming up pretty soon that's going to be kind of creepy and crawly. Other than COVID-19.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. Yes. Happy almost Halloween to you.
Almost Halloween.
Speaking of Halloween and COVID, I saw a funny post today on Facebook, and it says, Halloween, wearing masks, eating candy, listening to scary stuff. Isn't that what we've been doing the last 6 months?
Exactly. Exactly. And I've been telling everybody, everybody's been talking about, should we wear masks? Should we not wear masks and all? Tomorrow, everybody's going to be wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
Well, yeah, but yes, everybody will, well, I don't know. But what's interesting is when you and I talking about trick or treating during COVID, of course, me, I went online and just started to kind of bounce around and look to see what some of the recommendations were for trick or treating and staying safe. And if you're not comfortable with trick or treating this year, what are some other options and all of that? One fact that I came across, or not fact, but I guess recommendation is that wearing a mask, like a traditional Halloween mask, is not a substitution for wearing a regular mask. So they said a Halloween mask, or like a costume mask, is not a safe substitution for a cloth mask that we're wearing right now.
Yeah,
to keep safe and to keep from spreading COVID.
Yeah, wear the pandemic type mask, and then if you want to put a mask over that, fine. The only downside to that is the kid shows up at your house and says,
well, there's a greater downside to it, because while they made that one recommendation, then out of the other side of the mouth they said, but don't double up your masks, because they're afraid of potential breathing issues.
Oh, really?
So they're saying a costume mask is not safe. You're supposed to wear the cloth mask, but then you're not to wear the cloth mask under the costume mask. So basically what they're saying is, wear the cloth mask. There should be no costume masks worn this year, I guess, is what they're saying.
So then that would probably indicate that the best costume to wear would be a sheet as a ghost. And instead of cutting out eyes and a mouth, forget about the mouth cut out. Just for the eyes. And just go as a ghost that can see out. And that way you're covered over your mouth and your nose.
Or that be a ghost, or just build your costume around a cloth mask.
Yes.
So whatever you could be, I guess you could be a doctor, a nurse.
I was just going to say that probably the number one costume this year is going to be a surgeon.
Yeah, I would think that would probably be a very top. Yeah, I would think
that's a doctor or a nurse.
It's funny you're talking about costumes and popular costumes. I wanted to see what popular costumes could there be in the year 2020, and one of the top costumes, Carole Baskin. From, you don't know?
No.
Carole Baskin from The Tiger King.
No,
the movie, the show. You didn't watch it?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't miss any. You didn't miss anything.
I don't know. It wasn't a little bit scary.
It was very disturbing in terms, very sad and disturbing how they treat these beautiful cats. But also the people involved were disgusting human beings. I mean, just dirty, filthy, physically and mentally. When you watch the show, we were quarantining, we just watched it because everybody was talking about it. And I just felt dirty watching it, from their behavior to the way, to their appearance, to the whole thing. But it's sad they're getting a lot of attention. But anyway, Carol Baskin, she's a costume. She was on Dancing with the Stars. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I
She's
didn't
awesome.
know that either. No.
Anyway, so yeah, people are going to have to get very creative with their costumes this year, if they even go out.
You know, I've gotten to the point over the last 6 months, turn on the television, everything is just so negative and disturbing, and you know, I have a problem with that. If I'm going to turn on the TV, I go to Netflix or Prime Movies or something like that. Click, 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 go down to comedies. You know, I want to laugh. I want to smile. I want to have a good time. You know, even a chick flick I'll watch. I've never really been too much into science fiction or the thriller, chiller type stuff, but you know, I guess there's just too much smiling missing.
Yeah.
I want to smile. I want to laugh.
Yeah, I agree. But I did, during quarantine, happen to tune into that show because I thought it was just going to be an interesting documentary about the world of big cats. And it wasn't that at all. But anyway, but I agree with you. I mean, I don't turn, you and I have talked about that before. I steer clear of the news these days. I just kind of watch reruns and Andy Griffith and.
Yeah, I kind of feel badly for a lot of the movie theaters because they just started to reopen a little bit. They're restricting the seating and everything in the movie theaters. I think 25 or 30% occupancy, and people have to sit, you know, like with 2 empty seats next to them. But they're trying to release all of these new movies, and people are just not physically going to the movies. I think they will sit at home, and when they are released, like on some of these other streaming channels and all, you can rent that movie for $5.99 or $6.99. It's a first run movie, and people say, I'll just do it from the comfort of my home. I can have pizza or popcorn or whatever I want and make it like a movie experience. And it's driving that movie industry from the places that show the movies right up to the movie studios that are really hurting because they know that putting millions of dollars into a production of a movie, they may not be able to recoup their money or make a profit because the movie is not going to generate the kind of income that it needs to do.
Yeah. I don't know when that will come back and when people will feel comfortable going, you know, to a movie theater. We actually,
have you been to one over the last 6 months?
I was just going to say, yeah, a friend of mine had a birthday party, and you could actually rent out the entire theater, and you could then have a private viewing of not just any movie. They had given you kind of a list of movies you could pick from. And we did that, and it was nice and fun. I mean, but they were just, it sounds to me like just getting desperate and just trying to bring people in however they could. So they thought if they could reach out to private parties, even if you're, you know, more than 10, if you're kind of together and you're a private party, that's one way of getting, I guess, some kind of revenue generated, and opening up your theater at least, you know, to a private party. So that's the only time, but I'm not a big movie goer under normal circumstances. I prefer the experience at home and just kind of, you know, every now and then if I feel like it's a movie that needs to be seen on a big screen, obviously I will. But right now it's not a place that I'm, you know, just busting to get back to. But I know there are a lot of people who love going to movies, and my parents love going to see movies. And
I'm a big movie goer. I enjoy going to the movies. I enjoy seeing something on a big screen, especially if it's a movie with some kind of action or so in it to experience it. But I'm curious, when you said you went to this party and was the theater really cognizant of keeping social distancing and making sure that everything was clean and safe for everybody that was there?
I mean, I'm assuming that the place had been cleaned. I didn't see anybody clean in the process of cleaning, but I'm assuming that the place had been cleaned.
Yeah.
We were just a private party, so it was just us in the big theater alone, and we were not more than 10 people. And we did sit near each other. They didn't make it because we came together as a group. Kind of like
Right.
if you go out to dine right now at a restaurant, you come in, you wear your mask to the table, you can take your mask, but you can sit with your people when you come together. So you're not sitting 6
Right.
feet apart. So we didn't
Well,
sit.
usually there's not people at the table to the
Right.
left or right of you.
Right.
They
Right.
yeah.
But I'm just saying your party can sit together. So in the movie theater, they didn't make us sit 6 feet apart. So we all sat together in the movie theater. And
Yeah.
in the lobby, no, people were milling about, just kind of the way, masks on, of course, but just kind of milling about and getting to their designated theater. And I mean,
How
it is
long
what it
ago
is.
was this?
We are getting closer than 6 feet to people. If
Yeah.
you've been to a mall lately, if you've been to a store, a restaurant, I mean, people cannot pass each other 6 feet apart. So we are passing each other, but the whole 6 feet distance. I talked to a friend of mine who happens to be a doctor, and she was explaining to me that the 6 feet distance rule. She said to me, you have to understand there are a lot of things that need to happen during that time that you are together within 6 feet. You have to be together longer than 10 minutes for it to be a risk. If you're within 6 feet, you have to be together longer than 10 minutes. There has to be actual spray, ingestion, and so it's not just passing by. That's not a great risk to just pass by somebody. So I think that everybody is you're together within that 6 feet under those other, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. You
Okay, because I
froze
can
up
hear you.
there for just a second. Yeah. I think that part of this virus that makes it different from others is they said that viruses do have a weight, and that when people would sneeze, like in a flu virus, it could become airborne and it could spread for many, many feet. That the COVID virus has a tendency that if somebody does have it and it spreads, it goes out and it drops. That's where they came out with that 6 foot distancing thing, was that if it might be an issue, that generally it's going to fall. And that means it's going to fall to the ground or it's going to fall on a surface. That's why they were telling everybody to be very, very cautious of surfaces, because you sometimes have a tendency of putting your hands on the table and then you do one of these or something. And that was some of the risk factors. But I'm curious how this is going to affect millions and millions and millions of children tomorrow, because even going back a few months, I think we all thought in June and July, well, okay, that this probably will all start to subside a little bit. So by the time we get to fall, the kids will go back to school in the classrooms and all. And that by the time we get to Halloween, things may be back to normal. Now, all of a sudden, it's almost the reverse. We've started to see a little bit of an upward trend, a little bit more of a spike. And the weather's going to cooperate tomorrow, but it's going to be interesting to see what homeowners are going to do for Halloween, and then what parents are going to allow the children to do for Halloween. I think the traditional kids running door to door and everybody opening up their doors and passing out the candy, I think that's probably going to be restricted a little bit this year. I mean, I just can't imagine that the kids come up and knock on the door or press your doorbell, and after they leave, you're going to run out there with a Lysol wipe and wipe down your doorbell and wipe down the door handle and everything for the next couple of kids to come by. Some parents are going to say, just go out and trick or treat. So yeah. I think there's some things that people are doing. Some communities are getting together. It was a little bit novel. what they were saying is to have people go out in front of their homes with their own bags of candy and have a drive-by Halloween. Have the kids go by in the car. The windows are down. The kids are wearing their costumes and everything. And you just reach in the car and you drop candy in their bag, and then the next car comes up and you do the same thing. It's a novel idea, but it seemed to me to be kind of a safe idea. At least you don't have to physically be opening and closing your door. Yeah. So have you heard of any other ideas out there?
I think, it's a personality thing too. Like you said, some parents will feel comfortable going out with their children and going to whatever houses have their lights on. I think that's if you're not comfortable going out, simply don't go out. There are certainly, especially if you have younger kids, there are certainly things that you can do at home to make Halloween fun for them this year. And you could just go online, and there are so many alternative kind of things that you can do. Hide the treats around your house, let the kids go on a little treat hunt, scavenger hunt, look for the treats, collect whatever, carve pumpkins, watch scary movies. You can go online, do arts and crafts, bake Halloween things with the treats. If you're not comfortable going out, there are certainly a lot of things. And I know people who have young children, and that's exactly what some of them are going to do. We had one family next door to us who has little kids, and they actually texted a few houses in the like kind of neighborhood here who they knew well, and said that they were going to let their kids trick or treat. They did an early trick or treating because they were going out of town. And so we were all prepared, and I had their treats individually packed. And so, and it was brother and sister. And so they came around and went to designated houses. We knew they were coming. They stayed outdoors. The parents were sure to, we washed our hands before we handed the treats out. They washed their hands before they ate the treats. There are certain things that is just common sense right now. The washing the hands, is something that obviously you should do before you hand out the candy, after you get the candy. If you do go out with your children, bring your hand sanitizer, make sure they're doing that periodically throughout their, trek through the neighborhood. But if you're not comfortable going out with your kids, find something fun to do at home so that it's still a fun celebration, just done a little differently this year.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I think you brought up a good point. If you've got kids, make a little scavenger hunt, or like an Easter egg hunt in the house. Take the candy and hide it all over the house, and spend a couple of hours letting the kids go around trying to pick it up.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
You can Google, by the way. Because I don't have young kids right now, and so not anymore. But I was curious, and there's so many ideas that you can do inside. But if you are comfortable going out, then go out. And people who are comfortable handing out candy will tell you so by turning their porch lights on. And if there's a porch light on, then you know that you can go to that house and they're comfortable, right, and you're comfortable, and you've made that choice, and you can go. Now, I still would think that you would be careful to collect the candy and not eat the candy while you're walking, and wait till you get home and wash hands. And if you're really paranoid, spray your packages down with Lysol before you. I don't know. It depends again on how, how you feel, like your personality, and kind of how nervous you are about the whole virus. So if you are one of those nervous people, there are ways that you can safely trick or treat.
Well, one of the suggestion was you said put the porch light on and put a little table out there with a bucket of candy, and maybe a little note that says take 2 pieces, or take 3 pieces or so. Yeah. Don't fill the whole thing up, because I can guarantee you your trick or treating is going to be gone in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But put a nice basket out there, or a bowl or whatever, and let the kids take a few pieces and go on. And then when you look out the window, you see the bowl's getting a little low, put some more in there. That's another safe way to do the process.
You could even sit out there. You could even sit out there, with them and with your candy, your treats or whatever. And you know those long teachers use them, the pointers. It's on a long stick with a hand, a finger, or whatever.
Yeah.
You could sit at your table. You could be outdoors. You could be sitting outdoors, and you could put the treat and hand it to the kids or whatever. So you're distancing, and they would probably think that'd be very fun. And so you could be outdoors wearing your mask.
We got one of those things like a little gun on the one end and a little gripper on the other end.
Exactly.
You put the candy on it and say, "Here you go."
Exactly. So you could be kind of put your chairs down toward the sidewalk, and you could be sitting back and put the treats and give one to the kids or whatever. There's also they're calling it a candy chute made out of PVC pipes, and yeah, and the way it's designed, I actually watched a YouTube video on it. If you just go to YouTube and put in candy chute, put in COVID, candy chute, PVC pipe. One of those words will bring it up. It's a very easy thing to make, and it'd be fun for the kids to actually make it because it's very simple. Just PVC pipe, a couple elbow kind of brackets, whatever they're called. It tells you exactly what you need. It's inexpensive, it's easy, fun to make, and it's actually fun to use. So basically, once you build this chute, you put the candy in the top, and it shoots down through the PVC pipe all the way to the trick-or-treaters. So you could be sitting up on your porch and just put your candy through the candy chute, and the candy shoots right out to the trick-or-treaters.
Send it straight down.
Yeah. So I mean, isn't that cute? It's fun. I mean, look, we're talking about ways to make the best of the situation. That's all you can do. I mean,
or put a little catapult on your porch and everything, and you put the candy in the catapult, and you like a slingshot. You pull it back and and send it airborne. Let the kid go run after it. You can be as creative as you want to be. You're standing there motionless. You're like,
you just have to be careful you don't shoot.
I think that's very, very appropriate for Halloween. Vaughn is on the screen, but she's just, you keep freezing up on it. I can hear you, but you're freezing up.
And
you there?
I can hear you too, and you keep freezing up too. Okay. And actually, my screen is going black.
Oh,
so my screen is going black.
That's appropriate for Halloween night, I guess. But no, we can still see you. You're a little fuzzy, but we still hear you.
Okay. Anyway, I think people are just getting very creative because you want to make the best of the situation. You want the kids to have a fun Halloween, and they can still dress up. You could do a parade, have the kids dress up and do a parade around the neighborhood, and or walk around the neighborhood and look at the Halloween decorations. There are certainly ways to celebrate the holiday where the kids can still get their treats and do their trick-or-treating and wear their costumes and have some fun.
Yeah, and also I read that some people, even though we may be up to here in Zoom, you can do Zoom parties too. Get a bunch of kids together and Zoom, and they all wear their costumes, and you can pick who's got the most unique costume and all. Or what you started to say earlier is everybody get a pumpkin, and while you're doing your Zoom together, people are carving their pumpkins and all on Zoom and all, and then you pick a winner that way and deal out prizes after the day. That keeps the kids indoors and safe and all, but still productive and doing something creative.
I agree. I think that's a great idea. So if it were me and I still had young children, I would try to get them out to do the traditional trick-or-treating safely outdoors. I would probably keep to neighbors I know well, and I would probably also wash down the packages, make sure everybody when they get home, hands are clean, hands are washed, maybe even shower and get in your pajamas and get all nice and clean. And then we can maybe dig into the candy. But I would try very hard, me personally, if I were still a young mother with young kids, I would try to follow the rules and be safe, but I would try to make it a traditional Halloween celebration. These other ideas are great and creative and, fun. I mean, if that's not your personality type, then just do some of these other creative things inside. Arts and crafts, scavenger hunt for the treats, bake something, watch scary movies. All those things are fun. Or like I said, social distance outside, take a little parade, I just think there are so many ways to still celebrate the holiday, even if you're uncomfortable interacting, with people.
Yeah, and if you kind of document some of the more creative ways. There's one that I read about, which I thought was kind of cool, that sometimes people go to football games or so in advance, and they tailgate. There was a suggestion that if you live in a complex and you've got a parking lot, that everybody do what's called trunk or treating. Mm-hmm. And everybody just stands at the back of their car, and the kids walk by each car, and you're just standing there, and you just take the candy and you put it in their bags, and the kids walk by, and the cars are all lined up. Obviously, they're about 6 feet apart, and you just drop the candy into the kids. Then they go into their car, go on home. Trunk or treating. So, there's a lot of ways of being creative. I think probably the easiest, considering it's the day before Halloween, probably the easiest is, instead of standing inside your home, if you want to participate, perhaps go to the end of your sidewalk and all, so that the kids can walk by in front of your home. You can have your candy and you can drop it in and say a few words with, social distancing. And then they go on down to the next house where people are out in front of their homes. It's probably one of the safer ways of doing it, and still not ruining the essence of what Halloween is and means to the kids.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be curious I don't know what to expect tomorrow evening. I think it will be much quieter than it normally is. I just think people are going to either stay close to home. If they do trick or treat, they might just kind of stay around their house, their street, and not venture off. We live in a huge neighborhood here, and usually the kids will just try to hit every street, every house, all that. But I think it'll be much quieter. I'm not going to buy as much candy as I normally do, because that's just my prediction. But I do think that it'll be interesting to see also who all even has their lights on. I think it'll be a little bit darker tomorrow evening, just because I think too, a lot of people don't really, we're talking about trick-or-treaters and the kids that want to get out, but then you also have to think about the people who are older and, or whatever, just they don't have kids at home or whatever, and they're home. I suspect there'll be a lot of people just turning off their porch lights and not wanting to have many different people coming by and getting close to them and saying trick or treat and whatever without a maybe, and some of them won't have masks on, I'm sure. And so, but that's, again, that's your choice. Just turn your porch light off and just don't interact, and don't invite them to come by putting your light on. So
yeah, the people that I feel the most empathy for are those people that year after year have decorated their garage or their homes or so like haunted houses, and they invite people to come in and walk around to the spider webs and all that kind of stuff, because it's just part of the holiday, and it's not an advisable recommendation this year. In fact, just about everybody that's been talking about Halloween preparations and all has said, just don't do anything indoors. If you're going to do anything, do it outdoors, because you're safer outdoors than you are indoors. So again, what you were saying is, if you do have a little party in your home with your close neighbors and friends, that may be safe still. You take some precautions, but for a bunch of kids to be invited to somebody's house, for the kids to bob for apples and do all kinds of
Oh, God,
Halloween
no.
games. Probably not a good idea this year.
I would think bobbing for apples would be the last thing anybody would want to do. By the way, ever, like bobbing for apples has always kind of grossed me out. I mean, think about what you're doing. You're all in there. It's just
Right.
a whole.
Next.
You're trying to get it, and then I don't know, bobbing for apples. Yeah, I would think that that's probably an activity that will kind of like handshaking might never come back. I think
Right,
bobbing for
right.
apples might never come back.
Yeah, unless you have a separate tub for each person.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, my last name starts with S. If you go alphabetically, by the time you get to me, there's already been 20 other people that's had their face in that water.
By the time you get to Stuart Sachs, there's a lot of spit in the bucket.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I saw another post on Facebook today, and it was said something like, "Why do apples float?" Like it was a question. Why do apples float?
Gee, that is a good question.
I know. It made me ponder as well. I was like,
is it because there is air inside the apple?
I don't know. But it was a question that was put out there on Facebook today, and I don't know that anybody had the answer. So why do apples float? If anybody has the answer who's listening, let us know.
Yeah, type it in if you know somebody that's listening and watching this is probably going to Google it right now.
I know.
To find out. Yeah, if apples, why don't we use oranges? Or well, I guess it's because it's got a rind on it. But
bobbing for apples. Yeah, apples. So anyway, something.
Why don't we bob for prunes?
We'll be bobbing for prunes.
they do that at the senior center.
I'll bob for candy. I'll bob for
bobbing for apples. That's a good question.
Interesting question, and it's something I had never given much thought to before. But if anybody has the answer, they need to let us know. So you've got a grandson, Stuart. I know. So you've got somebody young, kind of still in your world. What are y'all going to do? Is he going to get out? Are they going to trick or treat, or what's their plan?
I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, I think he was starting to put together a costume. They moved about 6 months ago into a new development, so it's not fully developed yet. But I mean, there's several kids on the block. I don't know. I don't know whether he's going out or not. I'll have to find out later because as we hear more about this interaction of kids. I mean, already at his school, there were a couple of staff members and a couple of kids that had tested positive. So, everybody's a little bit on pins and needles. My thought is go to the grocery store and buy a big bag of, 200 pieces of candy and put it on his front doorstep and let him go sit and watch a Halloween movie and eat himself into a coma.
Well, it's fun to talk about putting something on their porch. That's another tradition that we do in our neighborhood, and I'm sure it's done everywhere. They call it boo. I think you talked about this before when we've talked about Halloween. Booing, BOO, to boo somebody. So what it is you basically, you put together a little goodie bag of not only treats, but you can put little, like little dollar store items in there, like silly putty or, a little glow in the dark wand, or, just little goodies, some candy, maybe cute Halloween pencils, a little Halloween pad, or whatever. It's a little boo package, and you boo them and you put it on their porch and you ring the doorbell or you knock, whatever, and you run. And so they don't know who leaves the package. So it's kind of like just a little secret surprise. And so maybe that's something, you could do if you don't feel comfortable interacting with people, you can boo them. And so basically there's no interaction. You go to these little houses that you choose to go to, friends that you choose to boo, and you do a little drop, and and run. And it's fun if you can hide behind a bush and watch them open the door. And I always think it's a good idea, because we used to do this with our kids. I always think it's a good idea to notify the parents first ahead of time, so that the kids go to the door, so that the kids know that they can go to the door. We're about to come. Make sure that little Johnny, whatever, is the one to answer the door. And then there's a little package there for them, and it's fun. So that's something that if you're going to drop a little package, turn it into a little boo package.
A boo bag. That's a clever idea. I had never heard of that. That is a cute idea.
It's fun. We used to do it a lot, actually, with our kids, and we would pick, like, each one of my kids could pick a friend or two, and we'd do their packages together. We would put the packages together. Go to the dollar store if you feel comfortable getting out. Go to the dollar store and let your kids kind of pick out a few little things that they want to put in the boo package, and then you drop it, and it's fun, and you can hide behind a bush and watch them open and get all prize, and then you've not interacted with anybody, and you've done something fun.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably add a little caveat to that, and that would be that when you're preparing the little packages, maybe just make sure you wipe off everything, like you said, the little pencils and the pad or something, so that everything that goes into the package is sanitized. That might be a good idea to get one of those little sanitized wipes or something. Drop one of those into the package too. Yeah. But that's a clever idea, especially now that so many people feel so badly about having to open and close their doors. It's something that you can either you put out on you see some kids coming up, you put some out on a little table, and it says take one, and it's a little boo bag, and they take it. Or like you say, you just walk around the neighborhood. It's supposed to be a fairly nice night weather-wise, and you just put little boo bags on other people's porches and ring the doorbell.
Yeah, I think it's cute. I also love, and I'm revisiting that PVC pipe candy shoot. If I had little kids, I'd probably do that this year. I think that's so fun, and I think the kids would just get a kick out of that, watching the treat go down and shoot out the other end.
I kind of like that. That's a pretty good idea, especially if your house is a little bit elevated from the sidewalk. Just to put a little sign out there that says "Wait right here." And then all of a sudden you yell out to them, put your bag underneath the chute, and just go right down to the chute into their bag.
Or you could just sit on your porch, I guess, and you and you guys you could be dressed in your own costume, sit on your porch, and I don't know, wear gloves if you want or whatever. Just throw the candy at the kids. Just throw it. Whoever. Hey, trick-or-treaters, go long.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, look, people are going to get very creative. I know that some city officials or state officials or whatever have recommended foregoing Halloween, but I think for the most part, parents, especially when you have little kids, they're not going to let Halloween just come and go. They're going to want to do something for their kids, and there's so many ways to be creative and safe and have fun and still be careful and all that. Again, with the internet, it's your answers are just a keyboard away. I mean, I went on today, and YouTube has a video of how to make that candy shoot. You've got Google ideas of ways to fun things to do during COVID for Halloween. I mean, there are a number of different things that you can do if you're not going to do the traditional trick-or-treating. I think here in our neighborhood, I've heard a lot of like outdoor kind of cul-de-sac things happening tomorrow evening, where families are outdoors, kids can wear their costumes, share their costumes with their friends, candy put out at tables, social distanced apart. So I think here, again, the weather is really going to be nice tomorrow here in Frisco, or Texas anyway, or Frisco. So that helps. If
you're in Butte, Montana, it might be a little bit different story.
I know, you might have to look for indoor activities and that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, my gosh, there's snow. There's snow in.
Yeah, in the northern states, there's been a lot of snow, and you know what? Where there's snow, that's probably even a better place to have that shoot idea. Because that way
Yeah.
you stay and just tell the kids go by on the street and everything, and there I'm sending it to you.
Well, if you're in a place that's really cold, you could build a luge or what do you call is it a luge?
Right, yeah, and construct one in your front yard and just put your bag at the bottom of the luge and it'll come down.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So I have to ask you, are you and Lauren going to have your porch light on or off?
Haven't decided yet.
Did you buy candy?
I'm not sure. We're going to the store today, so it's a matter of we'll probably discuss it, and we'll either leave the grocery store with a bag of candy, or we'll decide to turn all the lights off and sit in the office or something and watch something on a computer. It's just that anybody comes to the door, the doorbell rings, the dog runs to the door. Because every time she hears hears the door, so there's a little side window next to the door. We may have to cover that up. So, because if people see there's a dog there, they're going to probably figure there's some people in there that are holding out with the candy.
And then you're going to get egg.
Yeah,
and then you're going to get egg.
Yeah. Then Sunday morning we're going to wake up and not only make sure that we got to set the clocks back, but then you open up the front door and find egg all over your front door. But
right. Well, we are a little undecided as well. I don't know. I have candy, like I said, and I might just keep the light on in the earlier part of the evening, because that's when the little ones come around. But I'll probably turn it off. Yeah, I'll probably turn it off earlier than I normally do. I usually keep my light on at least till like 9 or whatever. But I like that I've seen in my neighborhood people still recognizing Halloween and trying to have kind of that spirit.
Yeah, there's been some really, really interesting decorations.
Fully decorated. And some of these people have these decorations out there with the spotlights that have little ghosts and all that'll be projected all over the front of the house, and these big 20-foot tall things that they put a blower in, and it's moving. I mean, that's pretty cool, and I think that's another thing. Put the kids in the car and drive around the neighborhood too, and let them see the decorations and the lights. And many of them have sound too when you go by. I've got a neighbor down the way that has it's like a photo cell, and when somebody walks by the house, smoke comes out from behind the trees and everything, and there's a little audio that and so it's pretty cool, and that's something that's worth seeing too, and from the safety of the car. Absolutely, that's a great idea. Just go for a drive and look at the decorations, and pick up a pizza and head home and watch some scary movies.
Yeah, and if you're in doubt, buy a bag of candy anyway, because even if you turn your lights off and everything, you got candy. You got candy.
You got candy. It's a win-win.
That's right. And if you are going to take a chance and buy candy, at least buy the candy that you like.
Well, and also I always do that. I always buy candy that and I don't know about you, but my top favorite chocolate candy bars are Snickers. Snickers #1, Kit Kat, and Heath. And
I would throw in there Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, definitely. Yeah. Just, have the candy on hand. You might change your mind. And if you don't change your mind, then eat your candy.
That's right. Enjoy yourself and make an appointment next month to go see your dentist.
And yeah, exactly. And by the way, there are some cute, we're talking about wearing masks. There are some really cute, even at like the grocery store, for kids, youth. You have to make sure you're buying, by the way, a youth mask when people know that by now, I'm sure. But anyway, cute little Halloween masks for kids right now. Like they're out there everywhere. But like I've even seen them at our grocery store. And they have like little spiders on them, little jack-o'-lanterns, or just cute little Halloween design. So if you want, go get your kids some Halloween. At least make the mask kind of fun for them to wear.
Yeah. Well, however you're going to celebrate the holiday, just make it safe. Be cautious. Make it as much fun as you can with restrictions for the kids. And we want to remind everybody that's watching us now too that next month, middle of next month, we're going to be moving our show up to Wednesdays. November 18th will be our first show that will be moved up from Fridays to Wednesdays. So you'll be able to catch both of us in conversation on Hump Day instead of later in the week. So you watch for some promos, but it's flashing on the screen too to remind everybody. Isn't that professional? So go out, make it a good Halloween. Tomorrow evening, make it safe. Don't forget, when you come back from trick-or-treating, turn your clocks back an hour because Sunday is daylight savings time. And also, don't forget, next Tuesday is election day. And if you haven't voted already, make sure you get out and cast your vote next week on Tuesday. So go out and make it a good one. That'll do it for us. Something to talk about. And she's still Vaughn.
He's still Stuart.
And we'll catch you again right here next week at 11 o'clock for something to talk about.
Happy Halloween.